Hello everyone, singer-songwriter James Hardiment here, based near Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, and this is episode number 7 of my Bridge to the Seaway podcast. And essentially what it is it's my stories in music from my official website at www.jameshardiment.com, which is at the bottom right-hand or left-hand corner of the screen, depending on where I put it. Anyways, there's going to be like a screen in the bottom, and it's going to be my website. So anyways, I'm reading blog articles from that website. Again, it's my stories in music. It's also some of the people I've met along the way. I sort of travel around the Seaway Valley area, portions of Quebec, Ottawa, and also, sometimes I go across Ontario and wherever else I may end up, basically. But my main focus is on the Seaway Valley, hence Bridge to the Seaway. But yes, so I summarize the articles of the week, and then usually I go into an interview portion of the program at the end, where I interview a fellow artist, whether it be, a visual artist or a singer, a musician, or just a member of the community I know of interest, a business owner, somebody who owns a nice restaurant, cafe that I go to quite often. So let's get started, shall we? So the first article is a walk into Cornwall. So there we go. It's on my official website. And like I said, you can follow me on my socials as well, Facebook, as well as Instagram and all that good stuff. If you go to the homepage of the website, scroll to the bottom, links to everything's there. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. I do appreciate that. Getting the word around, it helps me, but it also helps everybody else out too, right? So like I want to create this positive thing in the community with my friends and people that I know who do something that I enjoy, like if they open a restaurant and I enjoy the food, I obviously want to talk about that, right? So anyways, walk into Cornwall. It was pictured the South Stormont Recreational Trail that runs between Headline Road to Cornwall Centre Road and the northern end of Brookdale Avenue in Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. It was a gorgeous, clear, golden morning a few weeks ago. I had woken up early after a night of karaoke fun. Now safe from the craziness of the bar at my house in Long Sault, Ontario, Canada. It's not in the town of Long Sault, closer to the 401 highway, if anything. I often walk or bike in the summertime when I can do it, just one of the many activities I enjoy doing. It gives me a great opportunity to keep my photography and videography skills as sharp as possible. And I usually use my phone these days. In Ottawa, I used to go riding on my bike, and I used to use I had a Nikon D5100, which I still have lying around somewhere, but I haven't really took that out lately. Maybe I will. Maybe I will, and I'll take some really nice photographs with that. So anyways, I took a stroll down Headline Road, which is a less densely populated street just outside of Cornwall, surrounded by farm fields and also forest. It eventually crosses the 138 highway, which leads to the 417 highway to get up to the nation's capital city, Ottawa. I was starting at the other end of the road, close to Power Dam Drive, which heads into Cornwall southbound, and up the roads that take you to St. Andrews West and the town of Long Sault. As I got closer to the 138, there are two trails, one on each side of the road, known as the South Stormont Recreational Trails. For those that don't know, South Stormont is one of the counties in our province of Ontario in which the bike paths are located. One walkway leads to St. Andrews West, which is a tiny, picturesque village located at a crossroads of the 138 highway. There is an impressive historical stone church, as well as a great little restaurant called Quinn's Inn, built in 1865 by John Sanfield MacDonald, who would later become the first Premier of Ontario from 1867 to 1871, according to their official website. That's Quinn's Inn's official website. And so Premier is basically like the leader of the province. You're elected as a leader of the province, essentially. A province is basically the equivalent, for those Americans watching, is the equivalent to a state. We live in the province of Ontario, so it's basically like, if it was in the U.S., it would be the state of Ontario, right? So just to kind of put it in perspective for someone who may have never even heard of Canada or just kind of knew what it was but didn't know anything about it, right? So anyways, and I know I have some viewers in the UK as well and other parts of the world. Hello, everyone. I'm here, I'm back, and I'm doing a regular podcast. So yes, I wasn't heading up to St. Andrews West that day though. I was headed to Cornwall, to the place I commute through every day. Instead of by car, I was on foot. Instead of working, I was exploring and appreciating the nature which surrounded me at the same time. The bike trail was filled with cool DIY birdhouses with lettering on them, as well as rocks painted with inspirational quotes. I snapped a few photos to show you below. I thought some of the messages were rather nice compliments and encouraging words. Perhaps the idea is someone going on a solo walk can be cheered up a bit if they're going through some hardships in life. At least that's how I interpreted it. And you can see here there's a rock that says, put others first. And there's a birdhouse that says, love yourself. And there's actually a picture of a deer from a previous walk I did on the other trail on the way to St. Andrews. Little baby deer was peeking at me through the tree branches. So very, very cute, very adorable. And yes, so you can park your car close to the entrance of the trails on the road if you aren't a local, or you are, but you have to drive a little bit. Both trails are nice, but I prefer the one that takes you from Headline Road to St. Andrews West. I find that one winds a bit more and is a little more interesting visually. It's also the one I saw the deer on. I headed to town instead, though. Stopped by my favorite bar, Rendezvous, to charge my phone up for a bit, have a cup of coffee and an afternoon beer before heading down to Lamoureux Park in Cornwall to check out the St. Lawrence River. When the weather is nice, I love to be outside, walking, biking, driving. Sometimes I'll head out with my headphones on and listen to a mix of a song to make sure it sounds good. As I've mentioned before, there are plenty of great biking trails in the area, and this is no exception to that. Sometimes you spot some interesting animals too, as I've mentioned, but in summer months, bug spray is a must, and those bugs are very nasty at certain points of the year. In Canada, we have a lot of mosquitoes when you venture into the wilderness. I'm sure many people from around the world that are, even in populated areas, you still get insects, right? But I mean, if you're used to living in jungles or, forested areas, you're going to know what I'm talking about, especially at dusk. They just come out and they're blood-sucking. Oh, they're horrible. I hate them. I spray bug spray, and I mean, at least it feeds the birds, right? I mean, the birds and the bats, they love to eat the insects, right? So it keeps them alive. So that's always good. I just don't want the bugs eating me. Anyways, for those that don't know, I'm a singer-songwriter that moved back to the area from Ottawa in 2019. I work full-time driving forklifts Monday to Friday, 8 to 4:30 p.m. Then I sell men's suits and shoes various evenings, 5 to 9 p.m. The music is more of a hobby, but I do make some money from it from time to time. I'm hoping to do more live shows in the coming months, which will get my name out there more in the area. I have been building an online presence for years. One of my music videos for a song called Wine has over 45,000 views on YouTube, which I am happy and grateful for. I hope to do more exploring on foot this summer, as well as by car. Discover what I miss on a daily basis by taking the time and seeing what I can. Be sure to follow my social media pages for updates on upcoming music shows and more. Just scroll to the bottom of the homepage. All of my socials should be there. Well, that's all for now, folks. James. So yeah, that's the end of that article. And as you can see here, there's a little heart button. You can click on that, and if you can see the article, it's not the clearest picture, but in the bottom corner of the screen there is the live feed to the website. And you can see, well, live as of recording this anyways. This is pre-recorded, but the live feed for me anyways of the website. You can see the like button, little heart. You can click that if you like the article. And if you also click on you have to click on the articles themselves to pull that stuff up as well for commenting and stuff like that. So click on the titles of the articles on the blog section, and it will take you into sort of a page by page, and you kind of flip the pages, hit the arrow keys to the next article, basically. Not the arrow keys, but there's like little things on the bottom corner you can click on to take you forward and backwards in the blog. Anyways, I do appreciate the comments. Sharing is very important. It's something you can do for absolutely free to get the name out there, to get to get my website seen, to get my music heard. I mean, I really appreciate that. And also the people that I'm going to mention, they get seen and heard as well, right? So it kind of helps everybody out. And it's I want to do something positive as well with the music and everything. I like to entertain people, but I also like to learn about like local history. And we're going to get into that in the next article, because that one is called Milling Around Martintown. And there's a nice picture of the Martintown grist mill beside the Raisin River in Martintown, Ontario, Canada. And I'm going to get into that now. I took a visit from my place in Long Sault, Ontario, Canada, up to the lovely little community of Martintown, situated beside the Raisin River, about 5 to 10 minutes away from my home. For those of you reading the blog for the first time, my name is James Hardiment. I'm a singer-songwriter based in the area that was originally born in the UK in a place called Rochdale, just outside of Manchester in the United Kingdom. I've spent over half my life in Canada now, attending high school here in Cornwall, Ontario, about 15 minutes away from my house. Being a member of the Focus Art Association in Cornwall, a non-for-profit visual arts club, which I was briefly the vice president of last year, wow, words are hard today, last year, I often get emails about local art-related events in the community and surrounding areas. Last week, I received an email regarding an art event up at the Martintown Grist Mill. When I got in touch, they explained the events will be held on various Sundays this summer. When I told the organizer that I was also a singer-songwriter, she offered me a chance to perform. I'm still working out the details, but if it goes ahead as planned, I'll be sure to let you guys know on my official musician Facebook page. If you scroll to the bottom of my site, all my social links are there. According to the sign outside the gristmill, wow, losing my voice. According to the sign outside the gristmill, it was constructed by Malcolm McMartin's son in 1846, Alexander, who went on to become a politician, militia leader, as well as a successful businessman. His father Malcolm owned many mills, which provided a local service deemed essential in an era of poor transportation. It helped to create the town itself, and it's named after the McMartin family. The mill would operate commercially until 1947. Created with the local fieldstone, the structure is 30 by 55 feet and 4 stories in height. In 1986, it was near collapse, but has since been restored to the public, serving as both a museum and local event space since 2004. In 1997, the Martintown Mill Preservation Society, a non-for-profit organization, took ownership and maintained the property. Members will also guide you through the space, teaching you about the community, its roots, and origin stories. It looks like if I do perform, it will be outside on a stage that has been constructed in the front entrance of the mill. There appears to be plugins, so I should be able to plug in my speakers and equipment to play at the backing tracks. There will be plenty of musicians performing over the summer, hopefully liven up downtown Martintown a bit. It's going to be the new Viva Las Vegas. Thank you very much. But no, anyways, I went down to the river and spotted a heron. That's a type of bird, by the way. I snapped a picture, but it was too far away for it to look good with just my phone. Earlier in the year, there's also a big canoe race on the river. Would love to check that out someday. And there's a picture of some of the old equipment in the mill, in the basement area of the mill. Inside the building, you can still see some of the original equipment on display. Much of the original gear has been transported to Upper Canada Village, which is a museum town that has a working historic mill for tourists, not too far away up the number 2 highway west from Cornwall. It's a nice drive in the summer months for sure. The second level of the grist mill now serves as a museum, telling the rich history of the settlement and some of the key people who made a difference over the years. Some artifacts are on display, and old signage, tools that would have been used, scale models, and local structures, and more. It was very interesting to delve deeper into a place I drove past on a regular basis, but actually knew very little about. And there's a picture of the museum there. You can see the little mannequins and all the old equipment. Is that a sewing wheel? It looks like a spinning wheel. I'm not quite sure what that is. And there's also a sign that says Martintown Public School. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff in there. I hope to interview one of the members of the Preservation Society soon and go into more detail about the place. Excuse me. That was one of the goals of the blog and podcast, to showcase towns and people in the area which are trying to make a positive difference to the community. Many people will go off to a resort or major worldwide destination for a holiday, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's so much to explore in our own backyards. I just want to show you there's more out there locally than just work and home, especially now as things start to open back up again and the world goes back to whatever you consider normal these days. If you'd like to learn more about the mill, you can visit their official website. I'll post the link below, and that's www.martintownmill.org. Be sure to follow me on social media, as I mentioned before, to find out when I'll be performing. I'm excited and grateful for this amazing opportunity. I love how supportive people have been for us local artists in the community. Hope to see you at some point. Until then, you can always check the blog to see what I'm getting up to. That's all for now. James. And like I said, you can like the article down there and share and comment. And anyways, we'll go over to the last article. And it's a great little place. It's a great, the mill's a very beautiful little museum. And it's, there's lots of interesting things. And I learned a few things about it. Like there used to be a hockey stick factory that burned down. I was actually briefly talking to a lady today. Her name is Lois. Bleh. Words, names, hard to say. Lois, and I'm going to be having an interview with her, hopefully at some point. And that will be really, really cool. And sorry for fumbling so many words today. My voice is a little bit off. I've been singing quite a lot, and I also, have been a bit congested. So I'm feeling pretty good, but like I said, very croaky today. And I just had a night of karaoke singing at Rendezvous, so yes. But Lois is her name, I believe. Anyways, okay, so the last article is new album coming soon. My name is James Hardiment. Oh, there's a picture of the album cover, Rescue Me, and you can see the artwork done by an artist called Jeremy Sybansky. If you actually watch the previous episode of the podcast, you can see I did an interview with Jeremy discussing his art and how we got started, all that good stuff. So if you want to check that out, go to the previous video and watch the previous episode. And yes, so let's get into it. My name is James Hardiment. I'm a singer-songwriter based near Cornwall, Ontario, Canada, and I'm about to release my brand new album, Rescue Me, this summer 2023. 20 tracks in total. The record spans a little over 1 hour and 16 minutes in length, over double that of my original pop album, Wine, which was released in 2017. The album was 8 tracks, which equaled just under a half hour of music. And as you can see, there's the track listing in this picture in the bottom corner. It might be hard to see the actual names, but in the top right corner, I have credited all the artists that were featuring on the album, including Lindsay Gillis, who is actually a singer based in BC now, but she was in Ottawa at the time, working with me in 2018 on a song called Corrupted, set in 1920. She did sort of 1920s voice. She is also a classically trained singer as well, so she has a wide range. Duncan Fife as well, another musician. He's a saxophonist that I had perform on the Corrupted track and a few other songs on the album as well. He did some sax solos for me. Kimberly Dunn is actually an Ottawa-based pianist and a singer. She does weddings mostly, but during the pandemic, she also offered a service to provide backup vocals for music projects such as my own. And again, I would pay her per song and she would do that. But she doesn't offer that anymore. She's more focused on the weddings now. I think everything's opened back up. It's the main source of her income now. So she does weddings. So if you're looking for a wedding pianist, Kimberly Dunn Music. Check it out, Ottawa, Kimberly Dunn Music. And that's spelled Kimberley Dunn. There's many different ways to spell Kimberly, and she's proud of me for remembering that. So anyways, Young Frost is actually a rapper, best friend of mine, childhood best friend from 4th grade in the States. I used to live in Maine briefly, and I lived there for about 3 or 4 years, and I met my friend Sean Austin there, and he's a rapper known as Young Frost. He hasn't been really in rapping in a long time, in the rapping game, whatever the word is anyways. He has not been performing in quite a while, so he's just getting back into things. Last time I checked, again, I'm not sure where he's at, but yeah, we did one song together called Maine. It's the second, going to be the second song on the album. Anyway, Sean Timber is a South African-based guitarist who I worked with on a song called Savannah, which is available on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out. Him and I teamed up. He played some South African guitar, and I just found him on the internet, basically, through a Facebook group of South African guitarists. So yeah, say what you will about the internet, but it's a great way to meet fellow musicians and send files to each other if you're going to do recording projects. Chef Mayhem also plays guitar on one of the songs called Touchdown, and he played electric guitar for me. He's actually Derek Mason, who I've mentioned in previous episodes. I work with him at Melted Mayhem, which he sells spices at this point, and barbecue rubs, that sort of thing. You can visit his website, www.meltedmayhem.com, and you can watch the YouTube videos that we've been making over the summers, last summer, and we also made stuff around Christmas time, and some of my original songs can be found there as well. We did like special episodes. It was kind of like that retro TV sort of theme where he'd do a cooking program at the beginning, then he'd interview somebody, and then he'd go into the music portion of the program. We were basically testing things out at that point. And in reality, if you've watched the previous episode, you'll know that I originally wanted him to do a podcast that I was going to like produce. But instead, he's been so busy, I just decided to do one of my own and focus on my music. So anyways, but yeah, he's gonna have a lot of events coming up soon. So if you do check out that website, that would be kind of cool. But yeah, there's a few other people on there as well. So Sarah Ray is also an Ottawa-based musician that I teamed up with for the song "Rescue Me," which is actually the title of the album now. And Ryan Mackey is somebody I knew from high school who played some guitar on an older song, which actually dates back to 2011. It's called Something in the Woods, and it's track 17 on the album, and it's basically the soundtrack, the end credits song to the film Wendigo, which I made back in 2011, which got over 1.5 million views on YouTube. And that's where most of our subscribers came from. So like I said, I'm trying to grow the channel now with some new content, and mostly my music stuff. That would be nice. And actually, Something in the Woods is probably one of my most listened to songs as well. After Wine, I think it has about 10,000 views on the song on YouTube anyway. So yeah, that's probably my most listened to song after Wine. So anyways, this new album, it will be available on most streaming services in the coming months. The ones I tend to shout out are Apple Music and Spotify, but there are plenty of others out there too. Many of the music videos I shot for the various songs over the years can be found on my official YouTube channel. I'm also going to be doing a limited CD release, which to start with will be available only at my live performances on a merch table. I will also get some shirts made too soon. Merch is probably the best way to support an artist in actuality, considering you're paid pennies for hundreds of views versus 100 people buying a song for $1 off iTunes. $100, obviously not everyone listening would buy, but even if 25 out of the 100 did, that's still $25, which is more than a couple of pennies. The same logic applies for CDs, vinyls, cassettes, clothing, etc. Streaming is great though. It just doesn't pay as much, but by all means, continue to stream. I do every day. A great way to help us independent musicians is to build your playlist with your favorite mainstream or indie songs and include one of our songs in that list. Somebody goes to a list to hear their favorite music, then accidentally stumbles on to one of our originals, right? As an artist, we can appreciate that. And it's a free way to support us. So yeah, I do appreciate that, guys, if you do that. The world is changing so much. I think if I told someone 100 years ago in the business that you could build and record you could record music using your phone, tablet, computer with people by sending each other files over the internet, they would laugh you out of the room. Imagine the look of hilarity on their face as you begin to tell them about how you can post the song instantly, and millions of people could theoretically listen right away if you were well known enough. Even I am blown away, and I'm living it. When I first started making videos, for example, I was still using mini DV cassette tapes, if anyone remembers those. And the quality, now it's like 1080, HD, 4K, 8K, all this fancy stuff, right? 6K, whatever. I mean, back then it was like 360p, and I think it was 480p. That was the quality we were working with. So there's people out there, probably young people watching, they're like, what the heck is 480p? I didn't even know what the heck, I must look like garbage. But yeah, it really did it. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it looked, compared to what this, I mean, it didn't look like garbage necessarily, but it didn't look as good and crisp as it does now, right? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, the live show will consist of most of the songs from the album, plus the Wine album, and mixed in will be some of my favorite cover songs. Considering my big inspirations for my own music include Italo disco, essentially a dance music from Europe in the 80s, and South African bubblegum pop from that era too, the majority of my covers are songs from that time. Many of you will probably never heard of them. Some are so obscure and buried at this point, so it'll be fun to dig them out again. I feel like I'm a musical archaeologist digging through the digital crates of YouTube to find this old school music. Most dance music from back then was largely forgotten, with a few exceptions, as soon as the 90s rolled around, and everybody moved on to that house sound that became mega popular in the nightclubs. I will also be doing some doo-wop covers too in that style, since I find that both the 50s and 80s seem to blend very well, considering many songs had those happier and nostalgic chord progressions. At first, I'm going to start fairly small. I have my outfit, a white linen blazer, blue speckled shirt, white speckled tie, blue chinos, and a pair of blue imitation crocodile slip-on dress shoes with gold buckles. I also have a speaker, my laptop for music, microphones, a mixing board, and various other equipment. Eventually, I'd like to get some backup singers to team up with me. I've met a few potential candidates for the show, especially now that I've been hitting up the local Cornwall karaoke scene. My first confirmed 100% book show, unless it's cancelled, is July 15th in Cornwall. It's hosted by the White Knucklers, who are a local non-for-profit organization which raises money for a child with a life-threatening illness to buy them their dream toy. I'll be performing from 12 to 3 p.m. Hope to see you there. That's all for now. Until the next article, James. And again, you can like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's summarizing of the events. And now I'm going to take you over to the interview portion of the program with my special guest. He's an American, actually, an American-based stand-up comedian who I met when I was at the University of Windsor. And I was at the bar scene over there filming the stand-up comics. I was able to meet this very talented gentleman. So I will take you over to that interview now. Cue the transition, please. All right, everyone. So welcome to episode 7 of the Bridge to the Seaway podcast with James Hardiment. This is my interview portion of the program. And today my special guest is comedian and actor Mike Jeter. He's actually American. And I met him years ago when I was living in Windsor. So how you doing tonight, Mike?
James, I am doing exceptionally well. I am perfect and improving, my friend. How are you? It's been a while.
It has been a long time. Has it been? Well, we have chatted over the pandemic. I believe we did chat
Yes.
on Facebook about various things when I got back in touch with you. But I think before that, I think the last time I saw you was probably either the year 2013. Does that sound about right? 2013, I think.
Oh God, yeah, it's
It
been a
was,
minute.
yeah, that was when I was doing the filming you guys in the whole circuit with the comedian that we work with, David Squeaky Wheels Robbins. I'm not sure how he's doing, but
Yes.
you,
Oh, he's back out there. He's
is
in
he?
the scene.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good. No, it's
I
good
need
to
to get
hear.
over there to see those guys. I haven't seen those guys in
Yeah, because
probably about 4 years.
is it still the same circuit of guys? I mean, it was John Pelado, right? It was one of them, gentlemen. There's a few I
I don't
remember.
think he's doing it anymore.
Okay.
But Squeaky Wills is added. Rob Kimney.
Hmm?
I don't know if you remember him,
I remember
Rob
Rob
Kimney.
Kimmy,
He's
yes.
still
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah, and there have been a few newer people since last you've been in the area, but uh, Windsor comedy is alive and well.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And just to confirm, your phone is recording, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Awesome. Just to make sure, because I think it's all coming through the AirPods now. So I hope it
Mhm.
works out. We're going to find out because, like I said, I've had some technical glitches before, but the last couple interviews went well. So, anyways, tell us a bit about yourself and how did you get started in comedy and live performance?
Oh gosh. Well, Mike Jeter, I am a proud citizen of Pontiac, Michigan, born and raised. I don't live there anymore, but I am one of 17 children. I have 10 sisters and six brothers.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Whew.
Yeah.
Not much to do back then, or what?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. My daddy was faster than my mother. That's what it was. Um, let's see, man. Yeah, I've been doing comedy since 2012, and I can't think of anything more professionally since 2012. I've been a goofball and a class clown since I was a kid. And I used comedy because I was an extremely shy kid, and I used comedy to more or less break the ice with people, and made me feel comfortable being around people, because I figured if I could make them laugh, then we shared something in common,
No,
and
it's
that's
yeah.
basically how I became a
A
goofball.
goofball, a class clown, that sort of thing. No, absolutely. I've
Yeah,
honestly been. I mean, I never really got into stand-up comedy myself, but I've always been one to crack the odd joke or something like you said, break the ice. It makes things a
yes,
lot easier, especially when you're meeting someone for the first time. Like you said, it can be a little awkward and tense, and then especially if you got to kind of read people's body language, that sort of thing. So like, it's one of those skills that you have. And yeah, so like I was gonna ask you. Who are some of your comedian idols and inspirations growing up? Like growing up in Pontiac, Michigan, obviously you had television, everything. So, was there any
yes, yes,
big
yes.
stars that sort of got you into comedy?
Well, the crazy thing is, like, I first my first like experience, or first time I remember comedy was, we lived with my aunt, and she would always have these card parties on Saturday night where they would smoke and drink and listen to music, and they would listen to comedy albums. And so I grew up listening to Moms Mabley and Bill Cosby and Flip
Mm,
Wilson and Dick Gregory, um, people of that ilk, and listening to them laugh and people laugh. That just set a spark inside of me, and
yeah,
I started pursuing the laughter. It became my drug.
yeah.
So learning how to tell a joke, and the timing, and figuring out that, hey, I have a sense of humor. It just rocketed from there. And it helped me, like I said, get over my shyness. And then once I hit middle school, it was like, okay, I'm kind of I'm kind of a professional comedian at that point, because I was cracking jokes on everything, anything and everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of those things. Like I said, even as a, how do I describe it? But like even as I perform to a crowd, it's that energy, that response. Like you said, the laughter for you, for me. I mean, obviously, it's really. I mean, at the end of the show, you also get an applause too, which is great. That always feels good, right? It's a little like reassurance. Like
Call and response, man.
I'm
It's
doing
instant
something right.
gratification.
Doing something right, right? And you're just bringing
Right.
joy to people at the end of the day. That's what it's all about, right? You're trying to make them forget the hardships and even point out some of the hardships to chuckle about, right? So that's kind of because you do a lot of humor. From what I remember, I don't know if your sets changed much, but like you did a lot of humor about, like, I remember there was jokes about the deepness of your voice and things like that, right? Like you do a lot of jokes about that. Obviously,
I've
I think you
graduated since then.
yeah. It was a long time ago, 2013. But you also, what was it? There was some jokes about just the area you lived and grew up in, right? Stuff like that. Sort of
Yes.
observational stuff, which I think most comedians base some of the humor off of, is the place that they're raised, the place they grow up, and their parents, their family situations. And like you
Right.
said, I
It's all
mean,
about experiences,
exactly. Well,
your experiences.
it's even like you said, you had the joke earlier where you said I had all those your parents had all those kids. The little things like that, right? You can create a joke out of that situation, right?
Yes.
Which is awesome. So yeah, you're based in the state of Michigan. Obviously, you said the Pontiac. Is it Pontiac? What's it called? Pontiac
It's
Rapids.
Pontiac, Michigan,
Pontiac.
but
Oh, Pontiac. Yeah.
I'm in the Lansing area, in the state
Lansing. Okay.
capital area.
Is that
Yes.
close? Is that close to the city of Detroit for the viewers around the world watching? Is that fairly close?
It's about an hour west,
Okay.
like straight west of Detroit. It's all
Nice.
highway from here to there.
Yes. So like yeah, just for because again, I have some worldwide viewers, people in the UK. They're not familiar with necessarily with American geography, but I think they're familiar with Detroit. It's a big enough place, you know. So that's
Yes.
the closest a big city. And as I said before to the viewers, I had met you while I was studying in Windsor, Ontario, which is a Canadian city on the border of Detroit. For those listening, not familiar with the geography of the place, so it's actually interesting because just the way Canada goes in that part, I think we're actually south of you, aren't we? I think Windsor
Yes.
is south of Detroit, which is above. It's one of the rare parts of Canada where that's the case, right? Like where you're actually above
Yes.
of Canada. It's just kind of how it juts out on the map. But anyway, my
Well, it's
question
like
was, oh
that group journey, singing about growing up in South Detroit. He meant
yeah,
Windsor.
Windsor, yeah, South Detroit. That's true. That's true. That's actually so true. I didn't even think of that. And the Canadian city of Windsor, where you from as well. So, what are some? Okay, here's the question: what are some big differences, if any, that you've noticed in audience reactions to your jokes? Say a Canadian versus an American crowd. Is there a noticeable difference? Do you have to tell slightly different jokes, or is it pretty similar? Because I know, for example, growing up in the UK, the humor is a little different than the American humor. Obviously, some things cross over regardless. But what do you find as a performer just crossing over into the other countries?
Well, it's the same thing. With Canada, when I first started into comedy, um, I would, if I had any jokes that were dealing with race, Canadians tend to tense up
Right,
about
right.
that,
Yeah,
where Americans are like, okay, give it to us, maybe we can use it,
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot with Canada, but I made it a point to never change my act
No,
because I think the audience needs to understand. Um, they need to understand my point of view. They need to
perspective.
understand
Yeah,
how I live,
yeah,
and it would be unjust and dishonest to tell a joke and kind of curb it just so Canadians could feel comfortable.
yeah.
I want
Exactly.
them to feel that discomfort because I live with it every day. So it's not
Yeah,
fair to
yeah,
like I'm going to make it easy on
yeah.
you, but
No,
then I
for sure.
cross that back over the border and now I'm living
No,
that
yeah,
crowd. So
yeah, exactly. No, that's fair, and absolutely, and it's important, like you said, it's your perspective, it's the message you want to convey, because at the end of the day, you're telling jokes, but at the same time, there's also like sometimes a life lesson to be learned, right? From it too, right? That's kind
100%,
of one of the things you're trying to go for as
100%.
well. But it's good to have a sense of humor and to laugh about our problems, because if we didn't, we get nowhere. We don't. Well, I mean, a lot of people just want to fight, and it's like it's nice to be able to sit there and have a chuckle, right, instead of conflict. Um,
Especially over the last couple of years with COVID and everyone being locked inside and so on.
yeah,
I'm finding more and more the more I get out here. And even now we're just about 3 years removed from total lockdown in the States. There are still people who are just now starting to get back into comedy clubs and
yeah,
venues where there
oh
are
yeah.
shows.
I even
It's kind of weird,
Oh yeah,
but
oh absolutely.
I completely understandable.
No, because I even now, like I said, I do karaoke 3 times a week at the Rendezvous Restaurant in Pitt Street, Cornwall, and it's not as busy as it used to be. It's getting back there, like you said, but even the bars everywhere. Like I mean, there's some busy nights. Don't get me wrong. St. Patrick's Day was
Hmm.
was whoa, it was a hit. Like it was packed. But then overall, it's been a lot. The traffic's been slower, and again, I think it is due to, like you said, people aren't used to coming out, and it's strange because I remember going out at night to watch you guys perform back in 2013, and it was full crowds. It was full. Everything was. I went to
Right.
nightclubs. I went to a nightclub, and it was packed. Barely room on the dance floor, and now it's like a couple of years ago. Since now, it's just nothing, right? So it's a
Right.
big change, and I do hope that like you said, more people are going to come out this summer, especially now it's been so long since everything's been reopened, and I really do want to see, like I said, more
bigger crowds coming out. Because I mean, what are you going to do? Sit at home all day for the rest of your life? I mean, come on, you got to live life, right? That's my
Right.
perspective on it. I mean, at this point, like, and then, to interact with people in your community, to have a laugh, for example, with you, or just to
Mhm.
enjoy a good song. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like I said, you should be able to enjoy yourself at this point now. And you can still be careful, be cautious. I mean, be respectful, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, I was going to parties when I was younger. I'm gonna go to parties now, right? Like, I mean, at this point, I mean,
Right.
if I'm well,
Well,
if I'm well, like,
I
like
mean, you
that's
look at it. You look at it. This is really the second full summer where there are no restrictions at all. 2020, we had restrictions because of COVID. In 2021, it percolated, so only some places were at full capacity.
mm,
Last year was the first time, and I booked for a comedy club in Traverse City, and it was hard. It was difficult to get people to come indoors because it's like, oh, we're back outside.
yeah, no,
It's like when you're a kid, game on.
yeah,
So this is the second full summer, and hopefully more people will get out. More people will go to venues to enjoy live music or comedy,
hmm
and let's get this ball back rolling.
yeah.
So
I'm excited. I'm excited for the future. I hope it's going to be a good one. And like I said, even if it's not, we're going to try our best. That's what we can do, right? That's all you can do is try our
that's all
best
we can do.
to entertain the crowd and see if the crowd actually comes out.
I'll be
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I'll be there too. Exactly. I'll be out there. Go, Mike! Kill one guy in the audience. Like, woo! I know this guy right here. But yeah, I was going to mention we're on a podcast right now, but that you've been a guest on a few different podcasts over the years. I do remember you were a special guest on a few of them. I think you start your own as well. I forget. I mean, I've sort of
Oh
followed you on
God,
and off.
yeah. I've been on a
Yeah,
few, man.
yeah.
I've had a few.
So, is there anything you want to shout out to the viewers at home? I'm curious. To speak.
Yes, moms who are funny. There are a couple of wonderful, funny ladies over in Canada, over in Windsor. I think one's in Windsor. I can't recall where the other is from, but they have a pretty awesome podcast.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun to do. Um, and
What?
that's it. I'll shout them out. I'll
Yeah,
shout them out. I haven't been on very many podcasts. This is like one
yeah.
of the handful outside of the ones I've been on
Yeah,
that I've
exactly.
done.
I remember
Yeah.
those. You were sharing those at one point quite heavily. At
Yes,
one
sir.
point, a few. It
Yes,
was
sir.
quite a few
They're
years
all
ago now.
defunct.
Yeah, yeah. But that was, like I said, I listened to a few of those episodes. I think some of them are still on SoundCloud, right, and other
Yes,
formats,
sir.
right? That's where they were. And like I said, I can post any links below for the audience too. If Mike sends me any links at the end of the program, I can post them in
Yes.
the video description. Anything else you forget to mention as well, we can put down there. And like I said, you can also visit my website www.jameshardiment.com for more details about that. Even to see some of the projects. I mean, Mike helped me out on a few projects over the years. I mean, you were sort of a guest actor in a few things. I think you helped me in my Wendigo recuts of the film.
Yes.
You were the government agent at the beginning, and
Yeah, I was pretty
also,
smooth about it too.
yeah, you were, and there was also you made a quick appearance in that sketch show we did, Quick Buck, if you remember that, where you were the landlord, and
Yes, I most certainly do. That was
all
a
you
lot
had
of
to do
fun.
was stand there and look menacing. So it was kind of funny because I think the rent was due or something. I forget what the storyline was, but yeah, you can see that I think at some point if you go to the channel and explore people at home. But yeah, so I remember actually you've also done some acting work as well for various businesses and filmmakers. And would you like to talk about any projects you've been a part of? Because I remember you were I think you were the face of a bank, weren't you? At one point, you were on a
I
poster.
am. I still am.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
still. Oh, wow.
Flagstar Bank here in Michigan.
Nice.
My face is all over the branches and the employee folders that they give. My face is prominently right there. It's always good to know that a poster of me is outside of the women's bathrooms in several branches. So that's a little odd and menacing. But yeah, I've done that for Flagstar Bank. I was Santa for OnStar Tracker 2 Christmas. So this would be Christmas of 2022. So you can go on the YouTubes and find that, or go to my channel, MikeJeter.com, and I have a link there. Boy, man, I've done a couple of small films. This gentleman, Jeremy Berkowitz, young gentleman, had some really dramatic roles. He had me play in two of his films, which was outstanding and fun. I did a feature length film called That Wasn't Supposed to Happen. Shout out to Isaiah Barnes for letting me act crazy in that as the party bus driver. That was fun. Oh, and I'm also in a commercial right now that's showing around Michigan for Saganing Casino. I don't know if we could shout them out, but I haven't seen the commercial yet, but everyone I know has, and that's all that matters.
Nice. No, that's cool. Are you just on the slot machine or something, or what's
Well, I'm a bartender.
Oh,
I'm in a
bartender.
couple of
Oh, I
flash
did see that
saves.
one. I
Yeah.
think I saw that one. That was posted. Was it a few years ago? That one. I think I saw that one. I'm
Oh
pretty sure
no,
I saw
no,
it.
it's out now.
That's a new
It's out
one.
now.
Maybe I saw
Yeah.
it on. I don't know if I saw it on TV because we do get a few American stations. I think we do get the Detroit news. I think it's like a couple of the Detroit channels. We do get those here. I think on the cable. Just because
Oh, then you've
yeah,
probably seen it because
yeah,
it's usually on the local,
yeah,
and
like the
that's why
local.
I'm
Yeah,
in Lansing. I don't see it for some
yeah,
reason, but
exactly. No, no,
everywhere
for
else in the
sure.
state is showing.
I think I've seen a commercial with you in it anyways. I'm pretty sure like over the
Yes.
years. I mean, like I said, it's been a while. I kind of follow you on and off just because I'm so busy with my own stuff as well.
No,
If I lived in Windsor still, I go see you all the time if you came over for a live show. But
man, that
obviously
would be fantastic. I
I live
appreciate you saying that.
I live 8 hours away from Windsor, so it's a bit of a drive to get down there. But
Yeah, I need to come up there and see you.
yeah, and it'll be nice. I can't wait. And I have lots of places that I could point you in the right direction. At least get you
Yeah,
introduced to
brother.
people. So, no, it'd be fantastic to see you. Have you ever met any celebrities on your travels? That's another question I had for you.
Oh
Uh,
boy. I mean, I did a show for Comedy Central with Kevin Hart
yes, yes, I
called
remember
Heart
that.
of the City,
Yeah.
and that was pretty amazing. Um, I've met Muhammad Ali. I have a great
Oh,
story about him.
wow.
It's on my it's on my latest CD called The Charm Offensive. I told the story at the end of that of meeting him. It was pretty it was a pretty amazing experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, outside of that, just working with some big name
Hmm.
comedians, Jim Norton, Artie Lang, um, Natasha Leggero, Ricky Smiley. Yeah, so I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate.
Nice. No, absolutely. I did remember you with the Kevin Hart thing. That's why I was hinting at that. I mean, the Kevin Hart special. I remember that. And like I said, I didn't know you met Muhammad Ali, or maybe you did tell me that one a long time ago, but I wasn't. Was that like before? Because when is he still alive? Muhammad Ali
Oh no, he passed away
passed
years
away.
ago.
Yeah, I
As a
thought
matter
he
of fact,
passed
he
away
passed away maybe 5 years
5
after I
years.
met him.
Oh, okay. So this was way back. Eh? It's
Oh,
quite a
this is
while.
way, way
Yeah, I
back.
was gonna
Yes,
say
sir.
he's been gone for a while. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's been gone for a while. But yeah, no, like that's amazing. You got to, and I'm sure it was a like I said, people go check out your CD and they'll hear that story. That's amazing. So like I said, Billy, will give me the
Yes.
link and I'll post that in below as well.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, no, and we've been talking briefly. I mean, just a little bit about possibly teaming up, like you've been hinting. Now
Right.
that I have my live music show set up, I'm gonna have about 30 to 40 songs, and obviously I could drop some or add some. It's going to work out to be that. It's mostly my originals, but there's going to be some covers as well. I got a few doo-wop tracks that I really like, and some 80s dance music that kind of themes with what I do for the most part. If you've been following my original music lately, but that's a lot of the theme is that sort of
Yeah,
retro
man.
80s. I even teamed up with a South African guitarist from Cape Town, and we did a track recently called Savannah, which was heavily inspired by artists such as I don't know if you're familiar with any South African artists, but like Johnny Clegg. He was a pretty big name out there, and there was also while Paul Simon obviously did the American Paul Simon, as you know, Simon and
Mhm.
Garfunkel. He teamed up with people of the townships, and I believe he made a sort of that album Graceland right back in the 80s,
Yes.
and that was
Yes, yes,
actually
yes.
that's probably what first got me into that sound, and then obviously with YouTube, I'm like, oh, 80s South African, let's see what comes up, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole from there, discovering artists which inspired me, as well as like I said, my European dance music obsession from that time period as well. That's sort of my inspiration, my big inspiration, anyways. But yeah, so like any big shows you want to mention coming up soon in your area or even in Canada? Um,
Oh boy, I have too many to name, man.
yeah.
I started an entertainment company a few years ago called Sam Rose Entertainment.
Hmm.
I named it after my father and my mother, Sam and Rose, and all one word. And we book and produce shows all across Michigan, from the west side of Michigan, the Park Theater over in Holland, to right here in Lansing, over to Taylor, Michigan, which is south of Detroit, Utica, which is north of Detroit, all the way up here to Traverse City, if
Wow.
you're familiar with Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan
But
shape. Yeah.
yeah, I booked the comedy club up there. But yeah, man, I'm performing all over the
Mm.
place.
So
Like Connecticut.
if people are interested, they can just go to your website, right? Sam Rose website,
Yes, sir.
and
They can go to
it's all there. Yeah.
Sam Rose ENT,
Yeah.
MikeJeter.com,
Mm.
either one.
And if we ever do eventually team up and do that, I think we were thinking of some names. What was it, Wine and Cheese Show or something like that? Because my album was called Wine in 2017. And if we ever do
Yes.
something where it's kind of a split of comedy and music, like I said, I'll have dates as well on my official website,
Yes, yes, yes,
www.jimshadley.com.
yes.
So
And I
like
say we do it, man.
yeah.
Wine and cheese, I think would
Wine and
be
cheese. That'd be nice.
pretty
Eh? Like, I think
outstanding.
that'd be kind of cool. And like I said, it's nice because you can start the night with some comedy and then end with some dance music, right? So it's kind of
There you
it's a
go.
nice, it builds it up that way. I think that'd be quite fun. And even then you could MC between. So, we can figure it out. Like, I mean, we can put
Yeah,
on a good
man,
show. Like,
absolutely.
we have, like, get some lights and everything. Like I said, I got a couple of, right now I got a pretty small basic setup for now, but I could always get more and expand as things go. And also, like you said, certain venues have their own equipment you just kind of plug into, right? So it's like if you're at a big
Right.
stage, they've already got all the lights, they've got everything. You just got to bring your microphones potentially, unless they have their own, and plug in your equipment obviously, and your laptop if it has the music or whatever for you. I
Mhm.
mean, as a comedian, I mean, do you sort of have your do you have like a cell phone, a tablet, or anything? Or is it all just kind of memorized for you at this point? Is it
Yeah, I used to write a lot.
mm,
I have several notebooks lying around here and pads and
yeah,
stuff. And then I started writing in my phone, and
mm,
now I think of a subject matter, and I just marinate on it and
yeah,
work it out in
yeah.
my head,
Well,
and
yeah.
then go on stage and talk about it
Well,
and
that's it.
work it out there.
And
So
even
I
yeah,
don't write anymore.
no,
I don't write anymore.
it just kind of comes to you and you kind of improvise it almost. It's
Yeah,
sort of
and a lot
based.
of it is based on stuff. I mean, 95% of the things that I talk about happened in my life. So now it's just a matter of just remembering it and making it funny and delivering that story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I wanted to ask you, so like, what's your ultimate goal? You're a versatile performer. Obviously, you do voice acting, you do acting, you do a bit of modeling for banks, and all that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And then, obviously, you're a comedian. That seems to be the main focus. Obviously, is the stand-up
Yes,
comedy.
sir.
But everything else, I mean, it's you might as well use those skills. I think you do a bit of music too, right? You wanted to sing at one point. You were talking about doing an
Yes,
album. Because you
yes.
got a great sort of bassy voice too, which I don't know if your voice range changes when you sing. Because I've never heard you sing.
Oh, it
But
does.
yeah,
It
like
does. I sound like Prince,
oh
and then I can.
wow, oh that's amazing. I do a couple of Prince songs. You ever come down to Rendezvous or whatever? We ever go out for karaoke? I'll sing some Prince. I love. Where's
Man,
the
it's
one I usually do?
yes.
I do Little Red Corvette. I Would Die for You. There's a couple of great ones. Let's Go Crazy. I think that was a good one.
Mhm.
But yeah, I love doing all different genres. It's so much fun, and
I
especially at
love it.
karaoke, it's all preset. You can just, oh, I want to do country. Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. That's the nice thing about it. But yeah. So what's like sort of your dream project you'd love to be a part of? Like, what's your ultimate like fantasy project if you could?
Man, ultimately, I would love to be in uh, a big picture feature length film,
Yeah.
um, just from a big, movie studio. And when I worked with Kevin Hart, I told him that it's like, yeah, I'm going to be working with you in the next 10 years. And I just left it at that. But
Yeah.
even if it's not Kevin Hart,
It's
I'll
somebody,
do
right? Yeah.
dramatic roles.
Yeah.
I'll do comedic roles. I'll be Tom Hanks. I don't care.
Yeah.
The black Tom Hanks. So like
That's
La
cool.
Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, but
La
I mean,
Thomas Hanks.
but honestly though, like I always saw like out of all those guys in Windsor, you were somebody. Well, obviously you're not from Windsor, but you're from the stateside. But in that circuit of comedians, you were somebody that really stood out to me even back then. Like you were somebody, you're very charismatic, and even just the way you use your words, it's very sort of eloquent at the same time. Like you can tell you've had an education as well. Like I mean, you went to college, right, university, and like just the
Yeah.
words you choose to use as well, which is like you've got your I don't know, like I mean you don't need to have that obviously, but it's just it's a really good skill set to have too in terms of networking
Absolutely.
and moving through life. Networking, all that sort of thing. Like you need to be able to speak to people of all walks of life too, right? So it's kind of it's good, it's advantageous, right? So no, I've always admired you and your comedy, man. And like I said, you were also you had a bit of a football career as well, right? In your earlier years, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I played football at college. I went
Yeah,
to Cornell University, Ivy League school, go Big Red.
yeah,
Um, and I played semi-pro ball for a few years. I owned a semi-pro football team
mm,
for a few years. So yeah, I've when it comes to football, I've done it all.
done it all.
I've
No,
done
that's
it all.
amazing.
My
That's amazing.
body is paying for it, but
Yeah, no, well, that's one of the reasons why I had to stop, right? As well was
oh,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
That
But
and
I
the
mean,
fact that I'm old, James. I'm
yeah,
very old.
no, you don't look old, but yeah, you. I get only reason I could say, the only reason, the only hint is the beard is white, but even then, you could have just dyed it.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I'm
a
112.
112. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
112.
The oldest comedian in the world. That could be your
I'm
poster.
just saying.
Yeah, that's
That's my hook. That's my
yeah,
shtick.
yeah. But it's amazing, man. I hope I look that good. I don't even know how old you are. I'm not gonna ask, but I mean,
I'm 54. I don't care. It's a
54.
number.
Yeah,
I've
54.
made it this far. Listen,
I'm.
people, I'm near Detroit. I'm living someone else's life at this point.
Yeah, that's a
54
sad truth.
years,
Yeah.
we're good.
I'm
We're
31
good.
now. I'm 31 this year. In May I was 31, so it was my birthday a couple of weeks ago. But
Congratulations, man.
thanks. When's
Happy
your birthday?
birthday. Happy
When's
belated.
when's your birthday, Mike?
March 15th, the Ides of March.
Happy belated
So
birthday.
it's
I think
just,
I wished you. I'm pretty sure I wished you on social media. I can't remember, but
yeah, I
like I
think we
said,
probably did.
I if we were hanging out on a regular basis, I'd obviously tell you happy birthday. But obviously we're a little distant.
Yes, sir.
But yeah. So like finally, is there anything else as we wrap up? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Something we haven't mentioned, or anything you'd like to say to the audience before we close things up? Is there anything you'd like to
Yeah,
advice you
the
want to
only
give?
thing.
Any? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, 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 no. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there any advice to any up and coming comedians thinking about that career path from your own experiences? Anything you could to offer to them, a word of advice or anything like that? So
Yeah, yeah. The only thing I can offer to anyone who's thinking about becoming a comedian or getting into comedy or doing an open mic, just do it. Don't be afraid. Work up 5 minutes of material. It doesn't have to be the best material, but just try it. If you get laughs, I'm telling you, it's a drug. You'll keep chasing it. You'll keep writing and wanting to get better. If you don't get laughs, you can walk away from it and then pick it back up 10 years later. The beauty of comedy is as long as there's tragedy, there will be comedy. It's
yeah,
never going anywhere. There'll be a gazillion different interpretations
yeah,
of marriage and work
hmm,
and kids and dieting. There are all kinds of interpretations. So
yeah.
your point of view
It's always going to be a
could
little
be
different. Yeah,
180 degrees the opposite of mine. And
yeah,
that's the beauty of comedy. There are really only several topics you can discuss.
yeah.
But yeah,
No,
that would be
yeah,
my advice. The second thing would be go out and listen to live music and listen to live comedy. Netflix is cool, Hulu is cool. I don't know what all Canada has, but get out of the house,
yeah,
pay your money, go watch people do this
yeah.
live. It's a
Absolutely.
different vibe.
Absolutely, and it's a lot of it too. I mean, I don't know, like for example, music streaming. I mean, you don't really make as much as you think. Like even even ad revenue from like any sort of streaming. It's or whatever. You look at like 100 views and you might like make like 2 pennies. Like that's like how much you make
Right.
from it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just giving a rough example, but you know what I mean. Like depending on the content. So like again, a great way to support somebody is to actually go out and pay a ticket price and go see them because that $10 is a lot more than maybe even 1,000 views on the internet sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's actually a
100%.
lot more. So it's good for that as
100%.
well.
Buy their merch.
Yeah,
I know Canada's not big on buying merch from comics, but buy their merch, buy the CD, the t-shirt, the sticker. If you
yeah,
don't want to buy anything, tip them $10 or $20.
yeah.
Your couple toonies. I know about that. All your
Tuning,
loonies
yeah.
and your toonies.
We're all
Tip
learning and
them
tuning.
because this money goes a
Yeah,
long way for
yeah,
someone who's doing this as a career. Trust me.
yeah, absolutely. No, that very very good advice. I think honestly, that's I feel the same way about what I do as well. Because I want to tell you a little story before I wrap up. I was
Mhm.
performing the other night, and there was a girl in the audience, and she was with her friends, and I was singing a couple of songs, And her friends were like, "Oh, let's go. It's time to leave." And she's like, "No, no, I want to hear the guys sing. I want to keep on watching." That made me feel so happy.
Hmm.
Just that little moment where somebody, because obviously karaoke is a little different vibe. But well, actually, no, it's true because I mean, a stand-up show people do come and go as well. But usually, most people come for the whole thing. Whereas karaoke is kind of like whoever comes up. It's sort of
Right.
a random thing, right? But to make somebody actually stop and continue to listen to me when they could have just left with their friends right away, that felt pretty good. Like it felt like I made an impact, even if it was just like a little tiny impact. It was
You
something that
made
was
something.
meaningful, right? So
Yeah, you don't know what she did with that information, that little impact that you took. That could have
yeah,
made her whole week.
yeah, exactly.
So
So
that's what we do as entertainment and as
yeah.
entertainers. That's what we do.
Mm. Well, thank you so much for your time, Mike. I appreciate it. Like it is a pretty late at night. I've been recording a lot of these. I'm going to do some of these interviews back to back, just to get them ready to go. Because again, I just the way my life is scheduled right now, everybody's life is all over the place. So I think this is the best way to do it, is just have a few ready to go. So this will probably come out a few weeks from when we're actually filming this, just so you know. But
That's
like I said,
perfectly fine.
I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. And thank you everyone at home for watching episode 7. So good night, and good night to my audience as well.